Hello everyone, it's Lord22 here, and welcome back to Shadow of Mordor lore. Today we're going to be talking about the Rings of Power. So, Tolkien wrote a poem. 3 rings for the Elven kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. So this poem represents where the rings ultimately ended up, and the reason Sauron made them, sort of. Anyway, in the Second Age, Sauron's master Morgoth, the original Dark Lord, had already been defeated, and so the elves in Middle-earth were prospering in a time of peace. Sauron hated the elves for this, and so came up with a plan to control them without the direct use of force. He approached the elves of Eregion, region in the west of Middle-earth, which includes lands west of the Misty Mountains. Sauron was able to disguise himself to appear fair and elf-like, and called himself Anatar, meaning the Lord of Gifts. He claimed to be an emissary of the Valar and taught the elves the art of ring-making. As a side note, Tolkien often changed the details of what happened at this time, so what follows is what I believe to be the most up-to-date account. Celebrimbor, an elf lord descended from Fëanor himself, distrusted Sauron, but the other elves were deceived. In total they made 16 rings of power, which Sauron had secretly bound magic into the making of. These were distributed to the elves of Eregion. Sauron then in secret returned to Mount Doom and crafted the One Ring or the Ruling Ring. Unknown to Sauron, Celebrimbor at the same time independently made 3 of the greatest rings, which then became the 3 Elven Rings. Sauron expected that when he would put on the ruling ring, he would be able to control the minds of the elves that were wearing the rings. However, as soon as he put on the ruling ring, the elves immediately felt his presence, realized he was evil, and took off the rings. Sauron was furious and ended up using force and waging war in Eregion. He captured and tortured Celebrimbor into giving him the location of 16 of the rings, but not the greatest 3 which Celebrimbor crafted himself. He then killed him and hung his corpse on a banner, and managed to reclaim the 16 rings from the elves in the subsequent war. Sauron's attack of Eregion destroyed much of the region, and was later defeated by the combined might of elves and Númenóreans. It's worth noting that the elves also crafted many lesser rings as practice for crafting the Rings of Power, and this could explain why Gandalf didn't immediately freak out when he found out about Bilbo's ring, as he probably assumed it was one of the lesser ones. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the rings themselves. Attributes common to all was the ability to increase the lifespan of mortals and cause them not to age, but only in sort of a negative way, as Bilbo said, he felt he was stretched like butter. Anyway, the rings Sauron crafted, so those given to the dwarves and men, also gave the wearers great power and wealth. The 3 elven rings were the mightiest except for the one, and each conferred power to its wielder. The first, Narya, the Ring of Fire, was first held by Gil-galad, the High King of the Elves, who later gave it to Círdan of the Havens, who passed on to Gandalf. It had the power to inspire hope and gave resistance to the weariness of time. The second Elven Ring was Nenya, the Ring of Adamant, which was worn by Galadriel, and whose power she used to help preserve and protect the realm of Lothlorien. And she briefly shows Frodo the ring when he's visiting. The third was Vilya, the Ring of Air, which was first born by Gil-galad again, and who was later given to Elrond, and this was stated to be the greatest of the Elven Rings, but its power was never directly mentioned. It's speculated, like the other Elven Rings, that its power was designed to benefit all elves, unlike the 16 rings given to the dwarves and men, whose power would benefit an individual. Sauron gave 7 of the rings to the dwarves, 1 to each of the dwarf clans, although in practically all of Tolkien's work you only come into contact with one clan, which is Durin's folk. Sauron couldn't control the wearers of the dwarven rings, perhaps because of their natural resilience and hardiness. The rings made their owners stupidly wealthy, but their wealth also inevitably led to their demise, due to their amassed wealth. Thror, which was Thorin Oakenshield's grandfather, possessed the greatest of the dwarven rings, which probably accounts for the vast wealth of Erebor. It was then passed on to Thrain, who had it taken from him by Sauron when he was tortured in Dol Guldur. By the War of the Rings, Sauron had reacquired 2 further dwarf rings, and the other 4 had been destroyed by Dragonfire, one of the few things able to destroy Rings of Power. 9 rings Sauron gave to evil kings of men, who became the Nazgul. The effects of the 9 were that they each acquired great power and wealth, and they became powerful sorcerers who didn't age. One by one, however, they fell under Sauron's permanent control and became wraiths, who only did Sauron's bidding. They remain permanently invisible, except to the elves who had once dwelt in the Undying Lands, and Maya such as Sauron and the wizards. They were also visible to whoever wore the ruling ring. Finally, the One Ring, which was designed to rule the other 19, was significantly more powerful as Sauron had put a lot of his own power into the ring. While Sauron wore the one, the others could not be used safely, so the Elven rings were hidden and not used while Sauron still had a physical body. Unlike the other rings, the ruling ring had no jewel or intricate design and was a simple band of gold. When heated, part of the One Ring incantation appears in the Black Speech. During the Council of Elrond, Gandalf perceived that even the ring of the greatest dragon, Ancalagon the Black, Tolkien words, who by the way was large enough to crush an entire mountain range when he died, wouldn't be able to harm it. The only way to destroy it would be to cast it into Mount Doom. Hence the events of The Lord of the Rings. Anyway, that was the Ring of Power lore. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you'd like more, comment below and you'll get some. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.